years, it was just iPhone, like every song I put out. I think I put out like 20 songs that year, just voice memos. And I was like, I'm never recording ever. But I fell in love with it when Sunday Morning came out and it started working and people were listening and messaging me, what mic did you use to record this? Who mixed this and that? And I was like, my iPhone 4S with no one.
So you were around the Bay Area. What did that world feel like from the inside?
It was just like another outlet for just like being crazy, and music and skateboarding were my entire life. And so it's just what I associate with San Francisco and the feeling of like being home and going home.
How did you come to realize that vulnerability can be art?
There was like a few artists that helped me really believe that strongly. Kurt Cobain was definitely like the first. I just remember hearing like the Smells Like Teen Spirit album on repeat my entire childhood. And then when I was in 6th grade, Ed Sheeran was like blowing up big time. When I saw him just being vulnerable with just a guitar on stage and like selling out arena tours, I was like, oh, not only is it possible, but it's as big, if not bigger than anything that's happening in music. So it was like,
Dosey, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, dude. I'm feeling good, dude. Everybody's been saying to me, it's brick out. And I'm like, we don't say that in LA, and I want to bring it back, and I know they won't accept it, but I'm going to try.
You can try, man. That's all that matters.
It's because it's 80 degrees there right now, so.
Hell yeah. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, dude. I love New York. I'm so excited to be here. I'm happy to be here. I love the rain personally. Most people don't. And so for me today, this was awesome.
Yeah. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I'm with the rain. I'm with the rain.
Let's go.
You know, we talk a lot about artist journeys and kind of how they got to where they are. I think yours is super interesting because you grew up in your parents' rock and roll studio.
Yes.
Outside of San Francisco or in San Francisco.
Yes.
What was the earliest memory of that space and how did it shape you today as the artist that you are?
Wow, what a sick question. All my earliest memories actually are there. When I was born, my parents were both in like indie punk rock bands in San Francisco, and they were having any reason to throw a party at the studio they could find, they would throw one. So I remember even my first birthday, second birthday, like my dad's 30th, mom's 30th, like everything was there. And then all their friends. So I just remember like crawling around on the floor, getting picked up and carried around by random bandmates and musicians, and having earplugs in since the day I was born, and thinking that that's what normal life was being in a studio and being at a show and seeing live music and being a part of that scene. So I feel really blessed and really lucky to have been just born straight into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're born for it.
Yeah, straight into it, man. So it was it's really cool to look back on it too. And that space, San Francisco, just means a lot to me, that city. And the fact that they're still there, still running a studio 30 years later is like awesome.
That's amazing.
I'm not 30, by the way, 26, but yeah, they've had it for 30 years.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So you were around the Bay Area rock scene, skate culture.
Yeah.
What did that world feel like from the inside? And what did that world feel like from the inside?
I mean, my dad was recording this skateboarder when I was younger named Tommy Guerrero, who's like an OG Bay Area legendary skateboarder. And so he left some skate decks at the studio when I was like 1, 2, and we got to take him home, and I just fell in love with skateboarding. It felt like it matched with music and rock and roll so well at the time. It was just like another outlet for just like being crazy. And it was like I worked at a skate shop in high school for 4 years. It was like music and skateboarding were my entire life. And so it was cool, man. It was like hold on one more time. What was the actual question? I feel I'm about to stray off too far here.
It was what did it feel like from the inside?
In the culture on the inside. So San Francisco has a crazy skate culture. I don't know if you've been there, but it's like hills and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really about that. That was like a little too scary for me. But like watching it, it just felt like kind of how I described music, how like I was born into it. With skateboarding too, it felt like it was such a big part of the culture in San Francisco that I almost like didn't have a choice. And since I started so young, it felt natural. So watching music and skate scene progress from like the age of 1 on, it made me feel like not only it was like such a core part of me and my entire existence in life and music, but also like it's just what I associate with San Francisco and the feeling of like being home and going home. It's like skateboarding and music, and that hasn't left or changed. Like I live in LA now, and like I still feel the exact same.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I saw an interview that you did where you said that your mom playing Nirvana when you were super young was a major influence on you, especially Kurt Cobain.
Yes.
Because that made you realize that you can be vulnerable in your music and it doesn't have to mean that the song is dark.
Yeah.
what did you like? How did you come to realize that vulnerability can be art in your own way?
There was like a few artists that helped me really like believe that strongly, that it could be something that you turn into like an actual like career and project that people can grasp onto. Kurt Cobain was definitely like the first. Like I remember my mom was like diehard Nirvana, diehard Kurt Cobain fan my whole life. I just remember hearing like the Smells Like Teen Spirit album on repeat my entire childhood, and wondering why a song like in music with such a like sad lyricism could make me feel so like excited. Like I would like bringing it back to skateboarding, I would just like skate to Nirvana music all the time, and it wasn't until I started like really getting into songwriting, but probably in like 4th grade, that I was like listening to the lyrics, and I was just like, wait a second. I was like, Mom, this is actually so fucked up. Like, it's really sad. And then learning about like Kurt Cobain's life, and I was like, whoa. So that's like, he was so twisted and dark and dealing with his own things in such a like mysterious, cryptic way, but he was able to turn it into something that so many people worldwide could connect with. And then when I was in 6th grade, Ed Sheeran was like blowing up big time. And not only was he blowing up, but like the difference was that I was an acoustic artist. And so I was like, with Nirvana and Kurt Cobain, maybe the reason that it was like I felt the way that I did about the energy was because it was like a full band too, and that accompanied the sad lyrics and made it this whole experience. Ed Sheeran was just like, in so many acoustic, it's an indie folk artist, I'll say the same thing to him, but it's like, or about him. But when I saw him just being vulnerable with just a guitar on stage and like selling out arena tours, I was like, oh, not only is it possible, but it's as big, if not bigger than anything that's happening in music. So it was like, all right, I'm just going to talk about the things that I really want to talk about, which was getting my heart broke as an 11-year-old. Yeah. And not a lot has changed since. Yeah. So
that's amazing. And some of your other influences, Hans Williams.
Yeah, that's the boy. Shout out Hans Williams. I love you, Hans.
Michael Jackson, Kanye, Snoop.
Yeah, those are also artists my mom was playing the same time as Kurt. It was like I remember Heartless from Kanye was always playing, and yeah, she loves Snoop Dogg. My mom was she did her like college thesis on the history of hip hop. So I remember when I was a kid and she was in school, as she was studying hip hop, it was kind of just like a subject we would talk about. And so, yeah, all those artists too, man. I just remember her having in rotation, and in one way or another, they were able to influence just like my belief that I could be an artist and do it, because she was always just like, this person made it by doing this and this person made it by doing this. But the common goal is that they like are just authentically themselves, and then they write about things that mean a lot to them. And so shout out to my mom, obviously, for instilling that in my mindset about being an artist and a musician, and also for giving me such a diverse, like, you know, Michael Jackson, Kanye, Snoop, Nirvana. It was like a good mix of stuff. Even though I ended up making like nothing like any of them, it was still like, I look back and I'm just grateful for her and for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of growing up on this topic, you were super into geology, archaeology. You collected rocks, you collected fossils.
What Nardwar interview is this?
What were you like as a kid? You know, whether, you know, collecting those rocks and fossils, and do you still carry any of that like curiosity in your music today?
Oh yeah, yes, I love rocks, bro. I do.
Love rocks? You still collect rocks?
I still have a rock collection. I have a crystal collection in my room for sure. Yeah, I remember when I was in 2nd grade, I like became obsessed with geology. I think it was because I moved from like this small beach town called Pacifica in Northern California to this little town called Fairfax, in it's like 7,000 people, redwood forest. We had a creek that I would explore in. And like, as we started learning about rocks, I was just like, I don't know why I was so enamored, honestly. I just loved it. And then one of my best friends, Noah, his dad was a geologist. So in 2nd and 3rd grade, his dad was like bringing geos to class, and I was just like, I was like, fuck music, fuck skateboarding. I'm gonna break open rocks and find crystals.
That's fire.
And now I just, I think when I just like look at my rock collection, I guess, or when I like I'll go to like cool rock stores, and there's one in Topanga in LA. If you're ever out there, go check it out. It also just reminds me of my childhood and like the things that have made me the happiest and made me feel like an individual and a unique my whole life. So rocks. That's
quite literally rock music and actual rocks.
Exactly,
your whole life.
Anything with the word, I'm there.
Respect. You started releasing music as through voice memos on an iPhone. I think it was a 4S.
Yeah.
Sunday morning on SoundCloud like 10 years ago.
Yes.
And now I feel like your demos have become a staple in your music that you release. What was the story behind the first time you realized that a rough demo couldn't feel honest and like an actual record rather than something that's more polished.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it, dude. It was like 2015 or 2014, 2015, around then. And I, even though my like parents were, you know, in music and they had a whole studio and a whole setup, and like it was just so personal for me, the experience of like writing a song. I didn't really want to be around many people. And so I remember we had a piano in our house, and I remember sitting and writing on it a lot. And yeah, the iPhone 4 had this, there was like this app that had come out on the time where you could upload voice memos straight to SoundCloud. And I was like, oh, I can just put music out without having to record or do anything. So I was like making just voice memo notes on the piano, and then I put them on SoundCloud, and it took me 10 years to get those numbers again. It was a funny, very giving time. And but I fell in love with it when Sunday Morning came out and it started working, and people were listening and messaging me, what mic did you use to record this? Who mixed this and that? And I was like, my iPhone 4S with no one. So that's pretty sick that people could hear that and think that. I mean, now you listen to it and you're like, this is obviously recorded on a rock, but on a crystal that I have in my collection. But yeah, it was 2015. It was from Sunday Morning on. It was like, I think I put out like 20 songs that year, just voice memos. And I was like, I'm never recording ever. Yeah. And then I didn't record until 2021. It was like for 6 years, it was just iPhone, like every song I put out. Yeah. And so that was.
Yeah. And now you're ahead of the times too, because everyone's recording on BandLab now.
Yeah, I know.
You started the wave, man.
Hey, dude, I did my best. Yeah. Did my best. And I've never used BandLab. I should try it. I've heard it's pretty sick, actually. Yeah.
I want to talk about the EP that you dropped earlier this year. Maybe I'm just terrified. Felt like a very defining moment in your career. Tell us a story of that and recording it at Shangri-La.
Yeah.
And was there a moment that like really stood out during that whole process?
I mean, it was just kind of like surreal to be there in general. I didn't know too much about the actual space. I knew who Rick was, obviously, and like I knew that like I'd heard it, like people had mentioned it before, just in my life of being in music. Like I'd heard of the space, but I didn't really know like where it was, what was there. And it was just like nuts. The way that it all played out was like crazy. It was just the odds and how like it was really just like my manager lent somebody a lighter, and then before we knew it, we were there. And it was crazy. Being there, something that just felt like surreal was by like the 5th or 6th time that we had gone to do a session, I was able to walk into Shangri-La. I knew where all the snacks were. I knew how to use the espresso machine. I treated it like it was my own house. And then every time we used a piece of gear, the engineer would be like, yeah, that's the guitar that the Red Hot Chili Peppers used on their biggest projects. That's the Wurlitzer that so-and-so used on this song that you said you like. And so being able to use all the like actual instruments that have been used on so many songs that I love on that project, I mean, it's just like, it was like a dream come true. It was like so sick. So just like, I'll sit back and I'll think about that when I listen to that project, and I'm like, it's pretty cool how much history we got to pack into that. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Do you think that like that energy rubbed off onto the EP?
For sure. I mean, we would just be like listening to the crashing waves while we were writing, and like just out in Malibu, and it was like unlike any songwriting and studio sessions that I'd ever had. And you can tell, I feel like, for sure. I mean, we even we would write something and then just like go sit outside and just come back in and completely like change the record just because of how you feel just being out there. And everyone that it works there too was super nice and super sweet and respectful. So the whole experience was just like amazing. I was just so grateful to have gotten that.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
It was
for
awesome.
Sure. A few years ago, you toured with Arden Jones.
Yes, the boy.
I'm super curious. What did you learn from that tour that you kind of picked up and realized about yourself as a performer while on that?
A lot of letting go on stage and mixing the actual music itself with giving people like an authentic bit of your personality. So on that, like there was one tour we did where it was like West Coast. It was like LA, San Diego, Phoenix, San Francisco. And that tour, I remember, first of all, shout out to Arden. Love him. That's we grew up together. I've known him since he was like 10. We like actually met we didn't meet, but we became good friends at Woodward Skate Camp when I was 14. And just like massive shout out to him for bringing me on those tours, yada, yada. He's one of my best friends. Love him. But yeah, on that tour, I really started to just talk about funny shit in between songs and try to engage with the audience. And I was like, I wonder, like, I feel like if there was a group of people that I could have been vulnerable with on stage like that, there was no better time than to do it with Arden, because his fans knew me from us being friends. And so it just like gave me the courage to try letting go and being more like just silly. And then ever since then, it's just been like, it's like nothing's been the same. Like those tours gave me an opportunity to try new shit, which was super sick. And like shout out to him for using his platform to let me have that opportunity.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Shout out him.
Yeah, shout out AJ.
And you know, given that this live environment tonight is a completely different thing than I imagine what that is, what can people expect with your performance tonight?
I mean, same thing that I just described, like intimacy and jokes. Some shit just happened recently that I'm excited to joke about and laugh about in my personal life. And my sister knows. She's laughing right there. I love you, Viv.
I didn't know you were gonna say.
And so I just love being able to share that with people, because so much of being an artist for me and what makes it like so fun and what's most important is being able to be myself authentically now, and like really just like, sorry, my 5'8" self is falling off this. But yeah, dude, I think tonight is going to be super fun, man. I'm excited to just chat and sing.
Amazing. And also tell us about your latest album, Pillow Fights, as well.
Yeah, that was I wanted to try something new and something different. So I was like, I produced a lot of the songs on that record, and actually produced them out with like drums. Like 90% of my discography is acoustic and doesn't have like instrumentation in it. So I wanted to try something new and different and bring in some of those influences that I was telling you before, like the rock and the pop punk and stuff. And so we worked with some amazing producers. Shout out Nato Kitsch. He produced 6 out of the 8 songs on that project with me. And he's just like an amazing instrumentalist and stuff. And so being able to dive into those worlds and bring in drums and electric guitar and faster pace, and we brought a feature on the project, shout out Dempsey Hope, and like building it into this thing that was like bigger than just me, myself, and the guitar. That was awesome. And I was really, really stoked and happy to get that project out and show people that I was more than just a sad indie folk guitar player. So that's what that project really, really was for us. It was just showing people like, hey, we can make some other stuff and have a great time doing it. And like, we didn't have to stray too far from the sound, and it felt right, and it was good.
That's amazing.
Thank you, dude.
And you had an amazing year, dropped an EP, performed a lot of shows, dropped an album.
Thanks, bro.
What's next for you? What are you working on?
Just keeping it moving, dude. Trying to keep the live shows going. That's my favorite part of the whole thing, is being able to actually like perform and give the art in person to the people that have like been supporting, and also getting new people invested and involved. So we've got a couple more shows to wrap up the year. I got a music festival in Mexico.
Fire.
If you're in Todos Santos, anybody, for the Tropica de Cancer Music Festival, January 14th, I'll be there. So just keeping it running, trying to stay booked, keeping sessions going. We have another EP that drops January 12th.
Okay.
So the first single off of that is a song called Impossible. It comes out in like 2 days, and then that rollout will start. So just music and shows, man. Just keeping it going.
What can people expect with the new music?
This project is a good mix, actually. Sad acoustic as always, so get ready to hear me complain about the girls that have done me wrong in my life. But also, we were able to get into the studio and make some really, really, really cool records. Shout out Tyler Harris and Cody Doss. We made some like amazing, with live drum recordings and stuff too. Yeah, it just feels like now I feel a lot more confident to experiment and try and bring new things in that feel genuine to the sound and to my love for music, because we've been fortunate enough to have grown so much. Yeah. It's like I'm not afraid to like try out new things now in front of these people and see what hits. Yeah.
I read somewhere in an old interview, I think it was from April, that like collaboration was something you had to like get used to, and like it was uncomfortable at first, and
yes,
now you're doing it more, right?
Yes, definitely. Was like, I just didn't really feel like people like wanted to be a part of me making these super personal songs, and then by like touring with people like Arden and doing sessions, and I did the Antisocial Music Camp here in New York in June, where it was just like nonstop like songwriting and collaborations and meeting people and talking to people. I just realized that like there's like no right or wrong answer to collaborating. Like if you love it, do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But that being said, like when I started to collaborate more, I learned so much more about myself as an artist and a musician. And like people will point things out in your work and in your like creative stuff that like you may not have thought about, and like things to expand on or new things to try. And so just getting influenced by people. I just don't want to shoot anything down now because I've learned so much about myself by letting other people in that now I want to take every opportunity to see what's going on and to collab.
That's amazing, man. And before we let you get to your performance, we have one last thing. We saw on your Instagram story today, you said, Chris Jocelyn, Trey flipped El Toro, nobody talked to me today. This is skateboarding history. But actually, we want to talk about it because we have a gift for you. It was actually on the cover of Thrasher, and the team wanted us to gift it to you.
Let's go.
So this is for you.
Oh, that's legendary. You guys are the fucking best. Yeah, let me talk about this for a second. This stair set right here, it's in Southern California. It's called El Toro. It's a 20 stair. All right. It's the most like legendary stair set in skateboarding history ever. The only tricks that have ever been done down it are an ollie and a kickflip. And this guy, Chris Jocelyn, came into the skate scene when I was in high school and just out of nowhere was like the best skateboarder ever. And he stomped a tray flip down this 20 stair, first person to even try anything like that a few years ago. And his truck broke and he rode away like 6 feet and then the truck snapped and he fell off. And people were like, does it count? Does it not count? Like, you know, you want to get a clean take on the tray flip. And then just today they dropped his part and he stomped it. And I literally cried, bro. Like he stomped it. And then his 2 kids like ran up to him. One of his kids was like, wasn't even born when he first tried it.
Wow.
And so to see him like have a whole life and raise a whole kid and then come back like older and stomp like the most, like easily the most legendary trick in skateboarding history, I'll stand by that. Now was just like, oh, so sick. This is dope, dude. Thank you for this. This is so fire. What a legend. But yeah, shout out Chris Jocelyn. He doesn't know who I am, but you're a beast.
Amazing. Let's give it up for Dosey, guys.
Yeah, thank you, bro.